right, so it's 6 o'clock. Call this meeting of the Saginaw City Council to order. Please rise for the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. Thank you. Please be seated. For invocation, I think we've got Sean Morrison. Please come on up, sir.
Thank you very much, Council. If we would please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for today. We want to thank you for just the wonderful group of leaders that we have here today, and we thank you for everyone in attendance, and thank you for this great city. I want to thank you for just allowing us to be stewards of what you've given us, and I hope that you are over this meeting tonight so that we can continue to do your work. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sean. All right, item 1D is audience participation. That is covered. If there's an item you wish to speak about, please see the city secretary and fill out a form. There is one public hearing, and I will call for folks to speak. You don't have to fill out a form for that one. 2 is a consent agenda. I've had a request to pull 2A by Chief Spears. So 2B, action regarding renewal of AA record contract for police towing. 2C, action regarding fireworks contract for Independence Day celebration. 2D, action regarding approval of bylaws for Northwest Emergency Communications Center. Any questions, comments on the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion for B, C, and D.
Mayor, I'd like to pull 4E as well.
Which one?
Northwest,
Oh, 2D?
2D, sorry.
2, yeah, okay.
2D.
All right, so then we will entertain a motion on 2B and C.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve 2B and 2Z as presented, please.
Cindy, second? Cindy. Motion passes. Let the record reflect, we do have a quorum this evening. Thanks for coming, folks. 2A, action regarding emergency medical service interlocal agreement with the city of Fort Worth. Fire Chief Doug Spears.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council. This EMS initiative, I know y'all know it's had a lot of moving parts, so we've had a small misfire in coordination. 2A actually encompasses 2 actions. It's the adoption or approval of the EMS ILA, interlocal agreement, and adoption of the EMS ordinance. We really have 2 options. We can go forward and approve the EMS ILA, but the EMS ordinance will come back to you for the next meeting. So we can either push the whole thing to the next meeting, or we can do the interlocal agreement today and then do the EMS ordinance next meeting, whatever your pleasure is.
We're here, let's do that one.
Okay. I'll ask any questions. I know Councilmember Faligi, I think, had some questions about the subscription service. There was a late email response to that. Some of those provisions Fort Worth hasn't figured out yet, but as soon as I get that information, I'll make sure it's disseminated to you.
Any other questions for Chief Spears? Questions for Chief Spears? Not, I'll entertain a motion for 2A.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve item 2A, the ILA for the EMS service.
Second.
Nick, second? Nick.
Doesn't matter.
Nick was first. Please cast your votes. Motion passes. 2D, action regarding approval of bylaws for Northwest Emergency Communications Center. Who will discuss that one? Chief?
That'd be me.
All right.
So the bylaws you have before you here is part of the joint dispatch group that we joined, last year. So we joined up with Lake Worth and developed the Northwest Emergency Communications Center. These bylaws are what set the purpose and authority of that group. It establishes the advisory board and the committees that help establish guidelines and procedures and policies for that communications center. So I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Chief, I have a question on section 3.7, and I think that's on page 4 of the document that you gave us. It's talking about the appointed board members shall, 1/3 of them shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. How many actual board members do you have?
Currently, right now, it is 3. It's
So one
Saginaw,
person,
Lake Worth, and Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD.
so one person can make the whole decision for the board.
If people don't want to show up for a meeting, yeah, they could.
I have a problem with not having a majority. I mean, it seems to me that we need to have at least a majority to be able to approve anything rather than just one person.
Okay?
Can we change that?
Yeah, I can refer back to Bren's office. They established this, or reviewed the bylaws and helped us establish that, so we can refer back to Bren's office on making that change, I assume.
Yeah, and Lake Worth would need to weigh in on that as well, isn't that correct?
Right, yes.
Okay, so we could certainly propose it. Lake Worth is taking independent action on it, so wouldn't be able to tell them what to do or whether they must agree with it.
Right.
But we could certainly make that request.
And the other question I have is, I thought we were going to get intermittent reports about, how the dispatch was working, the consolidated dispatch was working. I know we had one presentation in April last year, but I don't think I've seen another one since then.
So we did the initial presentation, which was in January. We did one in April.
Right.
We can schedule another one whenever you want it. We do the monthly
I thought
report
we
that
were
we
gonna
send
look-
up, so you have guidelines on,
I thought we were looking at a quarterly since this was new and try to find out what the actual savings were.
if quarterly was proposed, I'm not familiar with that. It's kind of been whenever y'all have requested an update, then I make sure that happens. But if you want an update, I can get with Lake Worth and we can make sure that we get an update in here for a presentation.
Want to do it like quarterly for the first year and then see from there, sort of see where we are?
First year is over.
Well-
yeah, For the next year,
For the next year, sorry.
I would.
That's fine.
And
I think
we can
that's
make that-
reasonable.
We can make that happen. I mean, the quarterly meetings, the updates that we've received previously, I mean, that's your monthly reports that we give you combined together to kind of tell you where everything's headed and what it's accomplished, and then, we can include cost and whatever.
Well, it's nice having somebody come present, so, the people that are here can, understand what's going on.
Okay, I can make that happen.
All right, thank you, sir.
Brent, do we need a motion to push this out or just take no action?
I would table it. I think that's probably, you could also take no action, but I think tabling it just continues the momentum.
Cindy, you want to make a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we table 2D till. what,
I
next
second.
meeting?
Whenever Brent can get an answer.
Yeah, whenever Brent gets
Yeah.
it. I second.
Valerie, second? Please cast your votes. Motion passes, has been tabled. Thank you. 3A, employee recognition and presentation. Gabe, what do we have?
Mayor and council, the police department has several recognitions this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Purpose of tonight is kind of give an introduction, if you will, for members that have been hired over the last year. We're a little bit different from some of your other city departments in that when you get hired with us, you're actually in an FTO program, so there's a number of months that take place before you're actually a full-fledged employee. And so we don't do the badge pinnings and things of that nature here just because it's a little cart before the horse, if you will. And so the purpose of tonight is just to give an introduction. So I want to go back all the way to 2023, and ladies and gentlemen, as I call your name, if you just stand up. September of 23, we hired Benjamin Reed. He's currently assigned to B nights. In November, we hired Corey McKinnon, currently assigned to B days. November, Bree Brown, she's a public safety officer / jailer. She's assigned to nights. Takes us to 2024. In July, we hired Michael Knight. He's currently assigned to A nights. He did not come with his car kit, if you remember Night Riders. And in November, we had Graham Hopkins. He came to us from Mineral Wells. He's currently assigned to A days. So he was a sworn officer previously that we hired. Patrick Montgomery, he was currently a Saginaw, or was previously a Saginaw officer. He came back to Saginaw, so we got him back. He's on B nights. And then our newest hires for 2025, in January we hired Chad Biddle. He's currently in the Weatherford Police Academy. We hired Carly Calloway. She's a records clerk. She came from Sampson Park as a clerk there as well. And David Duvall, who currently is in the COG Academy. Just wanted to give an introduction so you kind of get to see faces with names, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so.
Hey, welcome aboard, y'all. Glad to have you. Look forward to working with you. Gabe, what else? That it? Okay, thank you. We're at item 3B. Discussion of a presentation of city employee conduct, code of conduct and respect. Mr. Gutierrez, the floor is yours.
How are all of y'all doing today? Again, I'm a little upset, so my voice cracks or anything. It's also speaking in public. I have a couple issues to address. Again, there are people in this room that they're addressed by, but we'll just go by. An incident that happened on November 20th with code compliance, an incident that happened on January 29th when I called the police for a stolen vehicle, and the police officer came up to my door and beat on my door like if I committed a crime. I do have a problem with that. So this is why it's important that we have a code of conduct, so that way there's clear lines of how employees should act, even with code compliance, with them, calling the police on someone exercising their rights. So here we go. Good evening, everyone. I'm here tonight to talk about two critical elements of our government: a robust code of conduct for the city officials and employees, and a fundamental right of citizens to redress their grievances. The two concerns are intertwined, each reinforcing one another, to ensure a transparent and availability and the response of local government. A code of conduct is more than just a set of rules. It's a commitment. It is a promise made by the elected officials and the city employees to uphold to a higher ethical standard. In their service of the community. It is about transparency, accountability, and maintaining public trust. Public trust is a public servant. Public servant is not a bad name. It's that these people, we should be able to trust what they're doing. Why is the code of conduct so important? Transparency and accountability. A well-defined code of conduct shines a light on the government and actions, decisions making. It empowers citizens to understand how decisions are made and to hold officials accountable to ensure that they're being followed. Public trust, ethical guidelines build a trust with the public. When citizens see that the officials are held to a higher standard and that they have greater confidence in the integrity of the government, this trust is essential for a healthy democracy. Preventing corruption. A code of conduct acts as a difference between unethical behavior. It clearly defines and prohibits actions such as bribery, nepotism, other conflicts, respecting the public, how we treat them. And it keeps government accountable. Legal basis. Many jurisdictions do have laws mandating the local government agencies to establish a code of conduct. These laws provide a framework for ethical behavior and to ensure compliance. Maintaining ethical conduct is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. It requires commitment to continuous learning, asking questions, and seeking advice. As mayor and city council members, you should never feel alone in making decisions about what is ethical and appropriate or legally required. You are here to serve the public, and you must always act in the citizens' best interest. This brings me to a critical connection between the Code of Conduct and the First Amendment. Our Constitution guarantees that the citizens have a right to petition our government to redress our grievances, not listen to us and try to interject when you're trying to state what you need to state. The First Amendment states in part that Congress shall not abridge the right of the people peaceably to assemble, to petition our government for the redress of grievances. This right allows citizens to ask the government to correct a wrong, express their grievance, and peaceably assemble, and it is a cornerstone of our democracy. Why is citizen engagement is so critical? Y'all always ask, how come citizens don't come to these meetings? They're never heard. I had spoke to several people on our block. When Albertsons was going up, they were trying to address the issues of rats, address the issue of maintaining the back alley. And again, when they came in here and y'all gave them the opportunity, y'all had already passed, that it was already approved, and most of them felt that they couldn't be heard. And that's not right. We should also bring back open comments. It shouldn't be just about what's on the agenda. If you want to hear from the people, they should be able to come up here and say, okay, we got 10, 15 minutes of open comments. If there's anyone here, then we can address these things and ask for a table, because some of these people don't know how to go through this process. Sadly, too often, citizens don't attend city council meetings for the lack of participation that can stem from various reasons: the lack of awareness, feeling their voice won't matter, or simply the inconvenience of the attendance meetings. Mayor and city council members, you must work to overcome these barriers. We need to make the meetings more accessible, promote them effectively, and demonstrate that the citizen input is valued and accepted. Just as a wise counsel in Exodus advised selecting capable, trustworthy leaders who fear God and hate dishonest gain, you also must strive for that ethical leadership. You must be guided by the integrity and transparency and the deep commitment to serving our community. Let us remember, a strong code of conduct and an active exercise of the right to petition are not opposing factors. They are here, and they are complementary. They work together to hold and ensure our government remains responsive, accountable, and truly serve the people in its community. Let us embrace both of these together to build a better future for our city. Thank you.
Council, any questions, comments?
Go ahead, you can go first.
Go ahead.
Mr. Gutierrez, I appreciate you coming up here, and I know this wasn't easy, and I agree with you. Gabe, I do believe the city of Saginaw does have a code of conduct for the employees as well as the council members. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah, and I might add that if the council would like regarding the specific issues, both chiefs are available to answer any questions. Mr.
And is
Gutierrez
that
has.
document available online to our citizens?
So that would be an internal document, but it's our acceptable conduct is in our personnel manual. I don't see a reason why we couldn't post that online.
I mean,
Pretty standard.
at the very least, you could submit an open records request and get
I did.
a copy of that.
I did, and I did not receive a copy of it. I just received the copy that's on the website.
Okay.
Can he get a copy?
Oh, yeah, happy to share the personnel manual, it's a public document.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't see it. I just saw the manual. I'll double check. If you can help me.
Vicki, make sure you
Is it just a, did you send the whole manual, or did you send the subsection?
It was the entire policy manual.
Excellent. Thank you, Vicki.
Appreciate that.
Mayor, just to clarify.
Yes, sir.
So in our city policy, there is a chapter on conduct in the city policy. There is not a code of conduct stated in the city policy per se. But it does talk about the employee's standard of conduct, and that in incidents arising from complaints by citizens, that it is up to the department head discretion as to whether those are violations of the policy or what type of outcome should be taken, if any. There's also additional department policies and general orders that in fact do go into more detail on employee conduct in regards to how they deal with citizens.
Thank you, Lee.
And I have one more question.
Go ahead.
I know we can't change what's happened in the past, and I hope you're aware that there are council members that are listening to you. What is it that you would like to see happen here tonight?
I would like to see that our police officers are not just held to a standard, but they should be above a standard, not to be beating on someone's door that didn't commit a crime and telling them that they're going to get a warrant to come and search their house. They're going to kick them out of their house for 3 or 4 hours, and they're going to take their time searching through their house to find what they have. And then when police officers also, and not just police officers, even dispatch, when they ask, for your name and phone number, and you ask to be anonymous, and they want to just hang up the phone and say, I'm going to mark you uncompliant. When I tried to explain to a certain police officer here what went on about the stolen car, they said, oh, you're one of those. When you do a public request and get an email from someone from the city saying, FYI, this person reached out to the mayor. I'm not this person. I'm a citizen of Saginaw. When I have other people in the city putting on a document that I slammed the door, which I have video showing that I didn't slam the door, which, they're trying to, and then police officers telling these employees that I'm anti-government, I'm against the law, and I'm doing it in retaliation. And if those notes are put into the police notes that they have, that they pull up on citizens when they come and meet them, they already have a bad taste in their mouth, and then they treat those people with more disrespect than they should deserve. I've never committed a crime. I've broken traffic code. I've been a resident here. I try to help out the community. I serve the teachers. I've even, with your CERT team back a couple years ago when all these fire department got an apron from CERT, I was the one who put their name on it. I was the one who sat there and prayed for every single one of those firefighters that received one of those aprons. Y'all say the Pledge of Allegiance. And again, it says justice for all. It doesn't just say one. So these code of conducts are going to be very important, that they do need to be displayed. They need to be out there. Because the lack of disrespect, it doesn't matter. I have more freedom than someone that's a city worker. When they're on the clock, they're there to do a job impartially, to be respectful. And when you hear other incidences when they show up to a call and they say, oh, it's you again, that's not respectful. I'm not just anyone. I am somebody.
And one final question, and Chief, you may be the one to answer this. If I remember correctly, and it's been a year, I thought we were supposed to be having surveys at the end of dispatch calls that citizens could fill out.
So-
In regarding to the,
As part of the dispatch software, there are random surveys that go out. I don't think they go out to every single caller, but there are random surveys that go out. That's part of the monthly report that you get about the response rate they get on the surveys that they send out. It's about a 30% response rate that they get in return.
and how's that random selection made?
It's part of the software. I have to get with the software vendor and tell you how they go about making those selections, because I don't know.
Because I've talked with several people who have, probably not the degree that Mr. Gutierrez has had, but, you know, they felt like dispatch was probably not as customer service friendly as they could be. I know I've had an incident once myself, and, you know, these people never have an opportunity to complete a survey.
I'll find out how that selection's made. I don't write the software, I don't even know who the actual software vendor is, but we can find out and
Okay, thank
see
you.
how that happens.
Or council, other questions?
Yeah, so, answered my questions, but I guess, I'm understand that, so what do we need to do to move forward on the, code of conduct to get it publicized if we need to? Do we need to review that and get it separated in a separate document to get it on the public, on our website?
Yeah, sure, we can post our employee personnel manual, like I say.
Or the whole manual, or just, that's what I'm asking, do we want to post the whole manual, or just pull out the code of conduct part of it, like Mr. Lee was talking about there?
Bryn, do you
That's what
have
I'm
a suggestion on that?
It's all public.
Yeah, it is all public.
You're kind of in a catch-22. If you post the whole thing, then and now I have to do my own research. You're not helping me.
Right.
If you only post the ethics ordinance, then what are you hiding? Where's the rest of it?
Right.
I mean, that's what I was thinking, boy, you post the whole document
Post
out
the
there.
whole document.
Yeah.
It's hundreds of pages.
Is
Yeah, it's hundreds of pages, and somebody's just looking for the code of conduct, so.
So is there any way you can put like a link that would pull it just like,
Yeah, to
you
different.
know what I'm saying? If it could just say code of conduct or whatever, put a link that somebody could click on and it would go to just that one part or something? Is there something like
Okay.
that?
I think so. I think there's a table or topic areas, so someone could link through wherever their interest is.
Does this manual have a table of contents?
It does.
And although the headers there, hot links within that document, where you can click on the header and then it'll take you?
We can make it that way if we need to.
Okay, that might be the easiest thing.
That might be easier for somebody looking for something.
So we have, there's a human resources page that we could add it to that, make a tab for it.
Good idea.
Yeah.
And then who would I be able to speak to about these incidences that they do need to be addressed? Because I believe that some of these paperwork are wrong.
I'd like the chiefs to respond, so Chief Spears, you want to start?
Sure, I mean, I can certainly meet anytime you want to. I think we met once before, and that didn't go obviously the way we all wanted it to go. Certainly open to meeting at your convenience to discuss what you feel wasn't adequate service to you.
Okay.
Chief Ragsdale, you want to add?
Yeah, most certainly. I'd like to add comments also to part of what Mr. Gutierrez has already mentioned. So, state law requires that law enforcement have a complaint process. It's not just a complaint process, it's also a accommodation process. That is listed on our website for anyone to go to. You can file a formal complaint anytime you want on any matter that you want. The only requirement under law is that it be factual. What I would argue with the allegations that you made here tonight, the allegations that you made in the email that you've sent to city council members, I do hold my officers to the very highest standard in law enforcement. You forwarded a complaint to members of this body alleging wrongdoing on the part of my officers that's nearly false in its entirety. You talk about ethical conduct, but yet you violated that very principle that you sit there and talk about. You were falsely accused of slamming doors and anti-government theologies and whatever, and I would say that you violated that very same principle with false allegations that you make towards officers. You want respect, but you don't want to give respect. And so you want to make a complaint to this body, we'll be more than happy to take that complaint, but we're going to investigate it. And if it's false, then we're going to follow through with that point. And so that's what I want you to understand. Your contacts on the 29th with my officers, they were the utmost of professional. The only person that was disrespectful was you. I have that here. We can sit down after this meeting. We can go through that if you'd so choose. Council decides that they want to play that during the meeting, I'll be more than happy to do that as well. But the false allegations that you make towards my officers, I'm not going to sit here and let you just walk all over them and think nothing's going to happen in return. Because what you're doing is false. And so if you have a legitimate complaint, we'll be more than happy to investigate that. But the allegations that's based on complete fictitious thoughts that you have about law enforcement, we just can't let that stand. And so if you want to make a complaint, most certainly make a complaint, and under law, we will investigate that. If you don't feel comfortable with us, we'll have another agency investigate that. But I can tell you that false allegations do result in criminal charges, and it's very clear in state law how that works. So, more than happy, we'd like to meet with you. I'd like to get some resolution to this as to why you feel that my officers have mistreated you somehow, because I think the video evidence associated with that will prove just the opposite.
Okay, so can we have any of the city council members that would like to go to this meeting with me to watch the whole entire video?
Yeah, I'll got no problem with that.
Do you have a problem with that?
Not at all.
I will state, I've watched all the videos, and I will make this statement. I watched the video you sent, and I watched all 3 sets, multiple ones of each area that you filed a complaint with. And I'll start with our 911 dispatch. I did not hear anything in the dispatch. It did cut off. It's the way the system works.
Yeah, and the other
The
part
video
was
then
not-
comes back, so you have to give that, that's not the person, but
Yeah.
they,
The other part
they were
was
moving
not on
through,
there.
but they wasn't, I didn't see of anything of being arrogant or anything with you.
If you go back to when they got back onto the phone, I don't
Mhm,
know
the
if it
second one,
recorded.
yep, I did that.
I didn't get that one from the public
Okay.
request. If I did, it was, maybe it came down double.
Yeah.
But, still did you listen to the one on the 29th? I mean, on November 20th? When the lady asked me if I was
listened to the
on
one
drugs?
where you called reporting the suspicious car, which ended up being stolen.
Yeah.
And they called, put you on hold, and they put you on because you called into the non-emergency number, which you should have, that's right. And they put you on hold to answer another
Yeah.
call, which nobody likes to be put on hold, but we
That-
all get put on hold.
Yeah, that had,
Yeah.
yeah. I understand
And
that.
then
That's
she
why I
came
called.
back. So
Yeah.
anyway, I did not perceive that as her being every bit rude to you. She was, just doing her job. And they answer lots of calls, so they're moving on through.
Yeah.
So with that one, I mean, I'll just state, I got no problem watching the video. We can, but I have watched, I actually listened to it multiple times. The second one with, when you went to Public Works and you talked to them, I understand, believe me. Before I got on council member, I got citations as things not right. And I know that it does get frustrating. And I do know that it gets also frustrated when you get a write-up, but yet the city isn't keeping the ditches clean in the Greenbelt. Understand all that.
Mr.
right?
Gutierrez did not get a write-up. He just got a warning. He got a notice. He did not get a write-up. He did not get a ticket.
Well, okay, got a notice,
a note.
but even when you get, it gets frustrating. Understand that and got that. The people there in code enforcement, they don't make the ordinances. We do, okay? So the ordinance, the one that you got wrote up for was your license plate was, your car sticker was out of expired, okay? I sat there and listened to him, and the gentleman you was talking to, he was giving you a couple different options of how you could go about doing that. One of them was just turn the car around, pull it in, instead of backing it in.
He did not say that. He
Yeah.
told me to put it in my garage. And
Yeah.
again, when he did that, he did smile to that other lady. But
Okay.
my,
I mean,
my
I couldn't see the video,
yeah.
it was his video
Yeah.
looking back, so, I mean, if he
Yeah.
did smile, I mean, you know,
Yeah, and
it's,
my thing is,
Can't say
I
that.
just want people to be treated a little bit with more respect. If you've seen the rest of the video.
oh, I
I've
watched the
even
whole
prayed-
video.
I've even prayed for them officers. I understand it's a hard job, and I understand I'm not trying to criticize everything, but they still got to remember they're dealing with the public. They have to have respect. I have a little bit more leeway. I'm a citizen. I did not sign, I did not choose to be part of the city service department. You know, taxpayers do pay for the city, and yes, they do too if they live here in the
Yeah.
city. I agree. But they still got to be respectful. They still got to treat a person
Well, I can
with
tell you
respect.
the gentleman who, when you was inside Public Works,
He was
He
respectful
was
up to the
respectful.
point when outside, all I did was just
Yeah.
do the same thing, and I, like I said.
yeah. And so the people out here that hasn't seen the
Yeah.
video, outside is a public area. You're allowed to take pictures of anything. You're allowed to videotape anything. If your car is out here parked on the street, I can come up, video it, and take it, and there's no law against that. And you're
You know.
right in that, and everything. So,
and like
so
I
with
said-
that being said, that's what I'll say, that
Yeah.
you were absolutely within your right.
You know, but getting fights, well, 6 police officers called out, it's a little scary. In the United States, I'm 1 times more likely to get shot because I'm Hispanic. A black person is twice as likely to get shot in certain incidents. I'm not saying that these officers are like that, but some of their conduct when they're talking to people, I understand the authority that they have,
Yeah.
but they still need to treat us with respect and with common courtesy to address certain issues. And like I said, I can get crazy. I'm not working for the city. I'm not representing the grain, you know, the picture of the grain or the new logo that we got. They represent the city. They're supposed to be public trust. They're supposed to be held to a higher standard. We
Well, I
have,
mean-
how many laws have Texas passed that's on all the citizens? I guarantee you, all the citizens don't know 1,700 laws, new laws that they went into effect.
Yeah.
We don't know all that.
So
So
will
we
s-
have to give some kind of leeway, some
Yeah,
kind of respect,
okay,
and just
gotcha.
to,
So I'm just trying to address the
Yeah.
videos in your correspondence. So out there in this thing, when you was videoing, taking pictures, perfectly right. After they went out and seen that you wasn't damaging any cars, I'll be honest with you, I'd have preferred them to just went back in the building. That's fine, let you wander around, take as many pictures as you wanted. Maybe there's an opportunity for improvement there in that area. I did watch also the police officers who talked to you there, even though, yeah, there was a couple of cars of them showed up. They were very cordial, and they actually came back and said, there's nothing that he's doing wrong. But it's good. So that to me, for the public work ones, I did not see. Other council members watched it, but I mean, for me, myself, I did not see absolutely anything wrong, and I didn't see that anybody was overtly hostile to you.
in their statement saying where I slammed the door,
Slamming the door.
yeah, they
I
made sure to
didn't,
point.
I mean, I didn't, my hearing ain't, but I didn't
Yeah.
see that the door was overly slammed.
You know, and
And,
anybody.
and I'll give you the, you
Yeah.
are a citizen, and like I said at the beginning, I've got to, I don't know any other way to say it, it pisses you off when you get it ain't a cite, even a write-up. I mean.
Thank
know,
you, sir,
very
for
little- no,
being
that-
human.
But
like-
anyways, understand that, and I understand why you're frustrated and everything. So with that being said, I take allowances, and I give the citizens more leeway.
Okay. I
Yes,
will
I am.
get with
Yeah.
both of these departments and
Yeah,
hopefully if y'all can make it to the meeting.
Yeah.
Just so that way it keeps.
absolutely.
I need someone just to make sure that.
Yeah. Now,
I'm
the
in
last
check
thing,
and-
the last one, I'm taking up our time, but I want to address each, so you know that the council, we did watch them, all of it. There's quite a few minutes, one of them was like 30-some minutes long.
29, yeah.
Yeah. The last one, when he came, the police officer, he came up and knocked on your door. It was a good knock. I didn't think, me and you'll have to agree to disagree on this one. I did not think that he was beating on your, I thought it was a good, solid knock. No more, no less than I would knock on my neighbor's door. Your dog did bark, heard that.
But when you wake up a child we had put to sleep at 8
Yeah.
o'clock
Yeah.
because
I
they
mean,
go to
and
school.
That's unfortunate. The police officer did not know that you had a child there. He knocked on the door. He backed up so that he wasn't confrontational. And I thought that the police officer was very cordial to you. The second time when they came, they went to your neighbor because they didn't have your address. They came. When they knocked on your door and did that, you told them to leave immediately.
Well, the first officer, when he's talking to me and I'm trying to tell him, he goes, "Oh, you're one of those." When I'm telling him the car's probably stolen.
Yeah. Yeah.
That did not need to be said. You're one of those why?
Yeah, I'll have
That's
to go back and
where-
watch the video.
where-
I don't recall him
Yeah.
saying you're one of those on the video. And we got the unedited, right? It was not edited, it's straight. So,
The video that you've watched actually does have
Yeah.
law-required redactions out of it, but
So-
the video's pretty much complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But-
all things considered, I mean, absolutely, I'm 100%, I'll come, we'll watch it, and then wherever you want to watch it at. But I will tell you, I did watch it. Are there some, across all of them, some opportunities for improvement, some training sessions where nobody did anything wrong, but in this situation, hindsight 2020? Absolutely. And I think the city's looking at that. And so some training.
Yeah.
But for the most part, some of the stuff you said, I didn't see it. The door knock was not, he wasn't pounding, he knocked, it was a good knock. This 2-second time, I'll be honest with you, the last time there was 20-some minutes, 30-minute video I watched.
Yeah.
I mean, the police officers out there, they listened to you, and they were in the rain. They stood there in the
and
rain.
you seen that I went ahead and say, let's
Yeah.
come on over here. I understand and I appreciate the dialogue. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
where citizens, but still asserting authority. I didn't commit a crime.
Yeah,
It didn't
no.
have to go to that point. They could have done what they needed to do, but to pull me aside and tell me what they're gonna do, that's scary.
Yeah.
So,
it's,
that's,
I mean, to get to it is, they ran the plate, they ran it through Oklahoma, it came back as not stolen, then they ran it through our flock
Yes.
system, which runs a bigger thing, and it
Yes.
came back stolen.
Yeah.
And so then they came back to get video that you have of the suspected, we can't say that there are people running from the thing, and that's
Yeah.
what started the whole thing, in that you told them to get a warrant to get
no, I
the
did not.
thing.
I just told them that they need to get off my property.
Right.
They came and said that they were gonna get a warrant to get.
Well, they
the
have to
video.
now because they need the
Yeah,
evidence.
but I went ahead and gave them the
so-
evidence because, again, I spoke to somebody, they said, you can just file a complaint, go ahead and give it to them.
Yeah.
But still, they didn't have to tell me, I understand, but again, just,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get more of a common courtesy to being a little bit more respectful,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more, like I said, citizens, we have a little bit more leeway. We have First Amendment rights that we can, but when you're on the job, to tell,
let me ask you this.
another person that I'm anti-government, I
Well,
love
don't
the law.
consider you anti-government.
I
But
love the law. I love and respect law. I have good police officer friends that are law enforcement. I pray for them every day. They have a tough job. You're dealing with so many kinds of attitudes. But the cordialness of being respectful, same thing with the city employees. I have a right to address my grievances, to speak to someone without being interjected every 5 minutes, at least to hear my piece, and then we can go over every single detail. But when city employees take that right away from you and are interjecting every 5 seconds, like probably what I'm doing, but I'm not on staff, I'm not city council, I'm not a city employee, I'm a citizen that I was just trying to address the grievances that, hey, I can understand, but I need a little bit more explanation. Let's talk about this. What can we do? But again, there's certain triggers that they say, and you don't say FYI this person. You say citizen, or whatever it is. Certain things You're working for the public. It has to be above standard, not just like anyone else. You hold citizens accountable. We want to be able to say, hey, you know, this guy did this, can y'all check into it?
Yeah.
Is
So let
it-
me ask you this. It seemed like after you talked the first time with the police officer, you all and him pretty much shook hands, agreed. The way you ended seemed very good. But then when they came back and knocked on your door, you immediately told them, get off your property. What's transpired between then, that first video, and the police officer knocking on your door, caused you to take such a negative approach?
When I was trying to explain the whole thing with the officer in the beginning, he said, oh, you're one of those. When I told him, this car's probably stolen.
Okay.
So again, those words to me, he don't want to hear what I have to say. So I said, okay, fine, you know what? Don't come to my door, don't bug me or anything else. You don't want anything, any information. You know, that's telling you somebody, I don't want to deal with you when you're saying, oh, you're one of those.
Got it. But absolutely, I'm willing to watch the video with you. You can point out things, so we can.
Yes, I think we've got a plan moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
So you guys will have no more than 3 council members there for law, and then we'll deal with it then. So, thank you, Chief. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
If
Mr.
there-
Gutierrez.
If
Appreciate
there
it.
needs to be, if more than 3 council members want to get it, we can have a special session and we can publicize that.
Let's start
We'll
with,
do it right
let's
here.
start with just 3 and go
Okay.
from there. Thank you, folks. All right, next, 3C, update on valve replacement projects. Mr. Ronnie Martinez, Superintendent of Wastewater and Water. Welcome, sir.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, Council.
I don't know if we've had the pleasure of hearing from you, have we?
No.
Ah,
I've had the pleasure of meeting a few of you, but for those that I have not, my name is Ronnie Martinez. I serve as the Water and Wastewater Superintendent here for the city of Saginaw. So I want to thank you guys for giving me a few minutes to give you guys a little bit of information about the valve program and some of the things that we're doing with that. So some of the benefits that come with having a valve program is being able to verify map accuracy. Just knowing where our valves are located, the size of them, it helps us prepare for future repairs or replacements if need be. It also helps in the asset management, knowing where the valves are at in our system. It helps us, I guess, be able to verify that they're actually where the map shows them to be. And we don't have the guys chasing around looking for something in the middle of the night that's actually not there. Also, system efficiency. Verifying that each valve is operational ensures that repairs are done in a safely and timely manner. If the guys go to fix a water leak and they can't shut a valve off and they have to fix that water main hot, it puts them in a dangerous situation. So that's a huge benefit of the valve program. Minimizing service interruption. One mainline valve that doesn't work or can't be found could mean hundreds more residents without service during an emergency situation. It's beneficial for us to find these problematic valves when it's not in a situation that they need to be found right away. It gives us time to plan, schedule, and react in a way that it doesn't affect the customer in such a way that emergency situation would. It helps with water quality. So every valve that's found in the broken position creates a dead end in our system. That dead end then gives time for the chlorine residual to drop, which affects the water quality. So that is also a great benefit to having the valve program. So a little bit more information on it is the valve program was started February 21st, 2024. We have approximately 120 miles of water line in the ground here in Saginaw. To be able to isolate and control the water flowing through those lines, we have 2,519 valves attached to that water line. In addition to that, we have 1,190 hydrants that serve as fire protection and also flushing points for our system. If anytime we get into a situation, obviously, where the firefighters need to fight a fire, it's very important that they're all operational, our hydrants. And also, that we have flushing points. If the water sits in the system for too long, we need to be able to get that out of there and get some fresh water in. So there are 26 grids on our map. We have completed 6 of those grids. While completing those, we've been able to operate a total of 496 valves, finding 11 broken and 24 offset. We have added a hydrant maintenance program to the valve program. This includes adding a fresh coat of paint and the flushing and lubrication of each hydrant. This ensures that each hydrant is presentable and fully functional should the fire department need it. Out of 1,190 hydrants in our system, we've been able to maintenance 99. So on the next slide, I've got a couple of pictures of the valves during the prepping session, and then also once a valve replacement was complete, so you guys can see what the process looks like.
Ronnie, do we have any idea how old the one on the left is? Can we estimate? I'm looking at Captain Sagan over there. We have any idea?
So that's Wofford and Opal.
Yeah, it's older than me.
Oh, man, okay.
So, and I think it's important to note that we did start off where the infrastructure's a little older. So we anticipate that the number of valves that we've come across in need of repair or replacement will drastically drop in the future.
So, this valve, is it electronically controlled, or do you have to manually?
No. It's manually controlled. So if you look real close, my eyes don't work as good as they used to anymore, but if you look really, really close, you can see a nut at the top of it. So that's actually controlled with the valve stick. So anytime we come across a valve and it's got to be isolated, that's the stick that would go into the ground and have to land right on that and operate it.
So, do you have to dig this up to shut it off, or do we have a pipe that goes down to it?
No, so in the street, you'll see these little caps.
Yeah.
And so those are actually what leads to the valves.
Okay.
So we can get right on those. In most cases, I think I mentioned in here that we found 24 offset, which means that we can't get the stick on them. So we got to go out there, dig it up, reset the valve stack, and then backfill it again. So, yeah. But lastly, I would just like to give a special thanks to you guys, Mr. Mayor and Council, for the funds that you guys granted us for this program. They've allowed us to repair 8 out of the 11 broken valves in our system without tying up our crews. This has given us the opportunity to provide a quicker response time to our customers, all while continuing the programs we've mentioned today, along with the day-to-day operations. We're thankful and look forward to finding more ways to improve our system and deliver first-class service to our customers. With that, I'm open to any questions you guys may have.
Question for Ronnie? Mary, please.
You mentioned flushing out the fire hydrants. So is that something that is ongoing, and you managed to get to all of those fire hydrants? How long would it take to flush all of them, like?
So that's a program that we're looking at now. Our goal, and it's pretty ambitious, but we'd like to get it done. Within a year's time, we'd like to touch every hydrant in the city. And by touch it, I mean operate it, lubricate it, make sure that it's operational, and add a fresh coat of paint so that it's presentable. We have some very old fire hydrants in town, and we want to make sure when it's customers are passing by, the residents are passing by, it's not an eyesore. So, yes, ma'am.
So the older parts of town, that's what would take longer, and then the newer parts of town, you wouldn't find that
Correct.
many problems?
Correct,
if
yes,
any.
ma'am. We here in Saginaw, we're blessed with a lot of newer infrastructure, and we've made our way to that part of town, and I feel like we're definitely seeing the difference on the numbers from when the program started to this point. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
I want to address that a little bit. We're lucky that the fire chief has his crews go around and they flush all the fire hydrants in the city, assist with and then they report back to us. If they've got one that doesn't work, they tag it and let us know, and then we go jump on it.
Cindy, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going to go way back in time, back in my college days. The fire department wanted to paint all their hydrants, and instead they decided to make a contest out of it. You know, everybody provided their own paint and painted the hydrants in front of their houses or their.
I didn't hear what you said first. Are you asking a question? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just, you know, we made a community project out of it. You know, people went out and found a fire hydrant and painted it themselves. You know, we had some guidelines from the fire department. I didn't know if we want to consider something like that. And it would take
While that could be effective, I think the participation is going to be pretty low, and the problem we'll run into is if you put the paint on there and it gets between the valves, it could cause a valve sticking problem, so everybody that have to paint it would still require somebody going out there and taking the caps off and making sure it functions okay. We have had citizens that want to paint their fire hydrant in front of their house, and they've called the fire department. We certainly let them. We tell them the kind of paint, because there's a specification for the
Right.
paint, and somebody verified that it was actually done to.
Yeah, we
a-
had
a
some
good
pretty
standard.
stringent rules when we did that, but
Yeah.
it was a fun project and added a lot of character to the community.
If there were some citizens that wanted to paint them, we would certainly work with them to do that in coordination with the,
So can they paint them cute, or they just gotta be the blah red?
what's that?
Can they paint something cute on them, or does it just gotta be blah red?
Preferable to be red.
Oh. I remember at one time they used to paint dogs, fire dogs, Dalmatians, and their head and everything. Do you not remember that?
Not since I've been here.
I don't think it was in
remember.
Saginaw. It might have been in Fort Worth, but anyway, I thought it would be a good idea.
Yeah, we had all kinds of creative things.
I know.
I
We
would
did
like to
have to
make.
have some red on it.
No,
Mr.
put
Mayor, would like to
butterflies.
make one more comment. The water system here is kind of something that's taken for granted. We have an exceptional water system. Nobody knows that more than the fire department. I've been here 30 years. I can't remember a fire where we've actually went to a hydrant and it was out of service, and that's recently been in the news in some other communities. That's never happened to us anytime we need extra water capacity. Public Works has always been there to get it done. But our ISO review that we did in 2014 are what carried the mail. Half of that score that we get is the water system. It was near perfect. We're fixing to undergo that again within the next 12 months.
Okay.
And I'm sure the water system will shine again, but I don't want to not take the opportunity to see how good our water system is, because we go to other cities and fight fires with them, and we see the difference. I'll just leave it at that.
No, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
And those pictures show you this is not a glamorous job, and it's dirty, and it's invisible, people don't see it, and it's expensive, but it is vital.
Yes, sir.
So it is vital to our maintenance of this. It's something we have to
Been on
do.
board with us?
Since early, I believe it was February 8th of 2024.
Okay.
So,
Doing a great job.
thank you, thank you, appreciate that.
A couple of questions you tweaked my interest on. You talked about the lines and having to flush the lines themselves. And you talked about old water getting in there. And I know, how many dead-end lines do we have? Because I know that when we design it, we want to have it loop back so the water's flowing around.
Correct, correct. Without having the sheet in front of me, I don't want to give you a wrong number,
Okay.
but we've probably got about, I would say maybe 25 on our dead-end flush
And
list.
so how do you determine when to flush them? Is it the level of chlorine in the water?
So that's a big part of it, yeah, just to make sure that our system's keeping fresh water in there continuously. Sometimes, especially during the wintertime, the water's not used as much, it sits in the system a little bit longer, and then the chlorine residuals will reflect that.
So what, and I don't know this, so I'm asking because I was wondering, what is the level of chlorine how low does it get before it triggers y'all must do a flush?
So you don't want it dipping below a 0.5.
0.5.
So average for us, we're at a 2.5.
Okay.
So we're well above where we need to be.
So if it what does it have to get to before it triggers us to do a flush?
So we do it regardless without it really, our system saying you got to do it. Just because it's a state law, you have to be flushing your dead ends continuously, monthly. But if we see anything lower than, I would say, a 1.5, we get on it pretty quick. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So just a quick question. You said you got through 6 of the 26 grids.
Yes.
In about the past year. How long do you anticipate before you get through the other 20?
Gotcha. So it's really tough to say because we're still dealing with day-to-day operations, and today we may have 1 leak, tomorrow we may have 5,
Sure.
and so we're trying to squeeze it in between all that. But it's definitely, I would say, moving a lot quicker just because obviously the older infrastructure, the valves are harder to turn, and the guys got to spend more time on each valve, making sure they get the appropriate rounds. To where in the newer part of town, the valves are turning pretty quick and they're moving through the grids a little quicker.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else for Ronnie? Thanks, sir. Great update.
Thank you, guys. You have a good
Appreciate
night.
it. Good stuff. All right. Well, all right, 3D, update on city branding. Pedro?
Yeah, he didn't put who won in the packet. I went and looked, I specifically looked for that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council, is so you could, it's like when American Idol, when they're like, and the winner is right after these commercials. So don't worry, we don't have commercial breaks here. So if you all recall, back in January, we picked two brands. We took it out to our residents to vote. We had a total of 1,600 residents who voted. And thank you to the library department. Again, 100% customer satisfaction, but Ellen doesn't tell us that often. They actually had our youngest residents vote as well, so they were able to vote for that in one of their reading programs. The voting ended in January 31st, and these are the total votes, and this is, there we go, almost did a commercial break there by accident. And there it is. So we are moving forward with this, and then we will bring the guidelines for y'all to adopt as a resolution at a later date. Other than that, have a good day. And Poxitani Phil was correct, so I just got to say that.
Hey, I was
Nice.
on the winning side there.
Me too.
Now, I'm probably not gonna get supper because my wife voted the other
She voted the other way, right? Yeah. I know my wife voted, and she voted different as well. So. All right, thank you, Pedro. 3E, presentation of American Public Works Association accreditation. David Garcia. Welcome, David.
All right, well, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me here today to speak to you all. So today I will be talking about the American Public Works Association accreditation process, as well as providing you all with the latest updates on the project. All right. Oh, there we go. All right, so the APWA process consists of 40 chapters, totaling 549 modules. Out of those, 29 of those chapters are applicable to us. The other 11 do not apply as they contain factors that either the city doesn't have or that other entities handle. Like, for example, we don't have any airports, any beaches, and we don't have any public transportation, just to mention a few. So out of those 29 chapters, right, they consist of chapters affecting the different aspects of the Public Works Department, ranging from the public services side, the environmental, planning and zoning, as well as other factors such as finance, human resources, communications, and technology. And in order to complete those modules, right, we have to conduct research on based on what's included on the city website, what's in the Code of Ordinances, as well as what are other cities doing? And also, what are the guys in the Public Works Department doing as well? And so for that, we have to collaborate with various divisions and departments. A lot of the guys take, whenever they can, they're able to handle some of the modules, but since they're always in and out, I'm pretty much one of the main people that's in charge of the project, answering those modules, getting the chance to ask them questions whenever possible, right? As they're always in and out, whenever they're in. And I see an opportunity to ask a question, I'll go ahead and ask them that question pertaining to what aspect of their department the accreditation chapter is asking. It also involves collaborating with various departments, as I mentioned, human resources, finance, information technology, and communications. They have helped us out a lot. They have met with us regarding these chapters that pertain to their departments, as well as a bit of public safety aspects as well. And it also involves creating policies and procedures from scratch. The guys, they know what they're doing. They have the skill sets to do it, but it needs to be documented, and they're asking for it. Think of this accreditation process as an audit, similar to what the finance department goes through every year, in which the accreditation board wants to know what we're doing, how we're doing, and it's our job to provide them the information. So back on December 10th, we had a peer review. This was an optional process, optional step in the process, but we decided to go for it. Because we thought it would be helpful. So our retired public works director that happens to live in Fort Worth now, that works with APWA, came in. He met with us. He went over some of the modules. He provided feedback as to what we're doing well, what could be improved. And from there on, until last week, we've been focusing on updating different modules, including the updated documentation, as this has been a project that's been worked on for a while, and some links needed to be added and updated. And starting this week, the Accreditation Council is conducting their initial review. They're going through all 40 chapters one by one. They're looking at all the modules. And next week, actually Monday, we will be at 9 a.m., we will be having a feedback meeting with them, in which they will provide us an initial report of what we're doing well, what could be improved, or what's missing. And from there, we will have 45 days, up to 45 days, I should say, to make those adjustments. And from there, as soon as we get that through, it will go through a process of going to higher level individuals within the APWA team. And from there, we'll find out, we should be accredited after that.
Is that 45 calendar or business days?
Calendar. All right, so right here on this slide, I provided 2 examples. I'm not sure if we could go through them here.
You're making him nervous. There you go.
All right, thank you, Pedro. All right, so right here, so first is one example of one of the programs that we have listed for them, for the accreditation team. This would be a preventive maintenance program for the fleet division. I'll give you a quick moment to look at that. All right, so it doesn't necessarily have to be full detail, but it should be good enough to show that we have something in place for that specific aspect that they're asking for. And at the bottom of the document, there's a documentation portion where we would pretty much cite our sources. And if you could go to the next one. All right, so this one would be an example of the industrial pretreatment policy. A lot of this information was gathered from the Code of Ordinances, and I'll give you another moment to look at that as well. All right, we could go to the next slide. All right, so what are the benefits of the city of Saginaw earning APWA accreditation? This would help establish a department-wide culture of continuous improvement. And this would help document the processes of the operations within the Public Works Department, because as I said before, they know what they're doing, they have the skill sets to do it, but it needs to be documented. There needs to be proof for this. This will also help improve operational performance. This would also assist with team building and staff training and development. It would also help justify any budget requests, especially now as budget season is coming up. And ultimately, it would help reduce any liability costs, right? Because this project would help outline all the safety measures that are in place in order for the Public Works Department to know how to conduct their operations in a safe and efficient manner. And it would also help the Human Resource Department, reduce the time that they have to file claims with TML or deal with workers' comp and conduct investigations as to what happened and sending employees to take drug tests in case of any accidents, right? So this would be a good benefit. It would also help with any assets such as the fleet and equipment. It would help us maximize the life expectancy of such fleet and equipment so that we could reduce the amount of times that a request for a new vehicle is made to the finance department. All right, so right here on this slide, you can see all the accredited cities, counties, and towns here in the state of Texas, most of which happen to be here locally in the DFW region. And as soon as we're accredited, the city of Saginaw will be part of such an exclusive list.
That's not very many at all. I would have expected a lot more.
Me too, actually. Yes, actually, when I was presented with this project, I thought I would have expected more cities as well to be part of this, because I was told that this is a big deal, that a lot of people have put their input into this project throughout the years, and yeah, I was very surprised as well. And right here on this slide, you can see all the contributors for this project throughout the years. And in addition, I would also like to say thank you to Kim, to Melanie, Vicky, Pedro, and Greg, because they were the ones that provided us with information pertaining to their departments. And with that, are there any questions?
Mary, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say how impressed I am with the fact that our Public Works Department is seeking this accreditation. And I believe the Saginaw Academy is coming to visit Public Works on Thursday. Is that correct? That is correct. Pedro.
Yes, we're scheduled, but we're going to see the weather. So
This
I
will-
reached out to Jared Kersey on that.
It would be interesting, I mean, vital to include this in the presentation, because I think our citizens should know all of the wonderful things that are happening in the city and be proud.
Right.
Other questions for David? Cindy, go ahead, please.
I was impressed also with your presentation. Good job. Question, though, the cost of the accreditation and the financial benefits that we'll reap in the future, are we going to be able to see some of those?
Ideally, we should. As I mentioned in the presentation, this would help reduce the liability costs coming from any workers' comp issues that could arise from any accidents and any property damage that has happened in the past. Hopefully, with this process, this will help outline the steps in play, and that we have steps in place to reduce any costs, as well as reduce the costs of any requests for any vehicles or any new equipment. This will help maximize the life expectancy of such value, because of course there's a certain amount of years that a certain asset has. We want to at least, at the very least, meet that amount of years, but ideally exceed it as well. And so yes, that would help reduce costs, ideally.
So you do anticipate cost reductions?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Other questions, folks? Nick, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes.
for one, I'm all for the credit, because one, it forces us to implement best practices and standards, and industry standards, and that's what we need to increase our efficiency. Two, I didn't get, when do you all expect to get this accreditation? What's your projected time?
So in the presentation, I did say that on Monday, we will have a meeting with the APWA accreditation board, and they will tell us all the feedback. So based on the feedback, we will have maximum 45 days to fix anything that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
So ideally by the beginning of April, we should be receiving that accreditation.
Okay, so
By
we'll,
my calculation.
okay, so that's, I remember that, okay, good. So that's really where we're at right now, is just, we're waiting for their feedback from their audit, and then we will have to address those findings.
Yes, sir.
And we have 45 days. to-
Maximum 45 days, yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. So we'll see you again in 45 days to
Celebrate?
recognize.
Yeah, you're here.
All right, sounds good.
Or anything else for David?
Good job.
Thank you, David.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
thank you.
Mayor,
Mayor.
Council, I
Yeah.
just want to recognize David for his work. So what he didn't say in his presentation is that this is very detailed work. He's currently a graduate student and an intern. This is not glamorous, but he's kept after it. I think he's kept everybody accountable and kept pushing forward. This has pushed at least one staff person to retirement. If you might recall, and this is, gosh, probably 5 years ago, Randy, I'm sorry, two, I stand corrected. Dolph and Rick began this process several years ago. Randy and Rick Trice, our previous Public Works Director, went to an APWA conference, got information. So this is a lot of work. The list, as has been discussed, it's a pretty small list, and that reflects the great work effort. But to the average citizen, they can have the confidence in knowing that our Public Works Department is with the best, and we're doing the absolute highest standard of service in keeping with best practice. So,
Excellent. Great work.
So, Mayor, one thing, talking about accreditations, I seen come across the Facebook Saginaw residency page about one of our work plans that got done through Kim. And nobody said anything about it?
Well, we were going to recognize the two staff members primarily involved, but the weather, so we're going to talk about that at the next council meeting.
Good,
We're
I
going to
just want to make sure,
recognize
because that's a
staff for that.
big feather in a few people's hats.
It is. Mhm. Proud of that.
Well, thank you, David. Yeah, I know, I heard about this several years ago. So this is a long time coming. I'm glad we're almost across the goal line. That's great. All right, moving on. Item 4A at 7:17, we're in a public hearing. Consideration and action regarding a request for a specific use permit to allow residential carport on property located at 1104 Roundhouse Drive.
Yes,
Maria,
sir.
welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So today we have a request for specific use permit to allow a residential carport at 1104 Roundhouse Drive. And this is a request coming from the property owner in an attempt to protect his vehicles and his assets. This would be the first carport in the neighborhood. And as it was proposed, it would be a metal structure with a flat roof, a white roof, and gray posts. So Planning and Zoning reviewed this item on February 11th, and they were concerned that the structure did not match the property, and for this reason, they recommended approval with the condition that white paint not be used, and for the overall aesthetic of the carport to match and enhance the property. So this would allow y'all the opportunity to be more specific if you would like and add to that. We do have the applicant here tonight, and he discussed with staff that he is willing to make accommodations and change the structure to match his property. And he can speak a little bit more on that in a little bit. Staff will remain neutral, and we did have one reply form. If you can read that off.
You want me to read that right now?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that. So yeah, this gentleman could not attend, but he did reply. It's from Jeremy Yostin at 1073 Pullman. He states, "I vote no on the carport due to the fact that I'm speaking for residents not being sent this information or allowed to voice their desire or concerns regarding carports. If Saginaw wishes to allow them and make permit money off them, they should allow the subdivision as a whole to a vote. As far as I know, this would be the first carport in the subdivision. Please allow all residents to make that decision through a majority vote. As I stated previously, I wouldn't want individuals to block anyone's desires on the property. If given a subdivision-wide vote of carports to be allowed in Highland Station, I would 100% vote no. In my opinion, it has more negatives, impact the street appearance than positive." Let's see, that. I would suggest putting this up for a committee vote before allowing the first one with only a few people having a say, because the city will have very hard time denying a second regardless of who objects. And he also sent a picture, but really more of a meme. It wasn't a picture of the property, so. Is that good?
Yes,
So was it unanimous?
it was, yes. Yes.
And nobody within his cul-de-sac or down the street that he lives on replied back one way or the
No,
other?
we only received one, and it was from one street away,
One street,
Yes.
one over, it
From-
wasn't even on
yes.
his street.
behind the property.
Was the color determination because of the color of the trim on the house? So it matched?
No, so the roof was proposed to be white.
Correct.
And they believed that that was an eyesore from people around the neighborhood driving by, just seeing white rooftop.
What
And that
color is
was-
your house, just out of curiosity? The front of your house?
It's brick, but I do have white trim and a white garage door and white shutters on.
Do we want to allow you to come and speak on the mic? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I want to be able, everybody to be able to hear
Yeah.
you. So, yeah. Oh, come on.
No, you
Right
come up
in.
here.
Go for it.
You,
So the trim around
got
the,
a picture of his house in the.
Well, hold on. Well, introduce yourself. So,
My
please.
name is Glenn Raymond. I'm the person asking for the, carport.
so the trim around the top of your house is white?
It's kind of an eggshell, yes, ma'am. Originally, the reason I went with the white was because it is metal, and I was trying to reflect some of the heat that the metal would attract. But after talking with the gentleman, they told me that they really didn't prefer that, so I got with my contractor and changed it to a red so that it would match my brick. And I was originally going to paint the structure gray because I have my metal flashing that's on the house was gray. So I'm changing that to red also. But I'd already, like I'd spoke with those guys, I'd already had plans to, once it was built, I'm trimming everything out with rough cedar to make it look like cedar posts coming up. And everywhere that you can see metal, I was going to trim out with rough cedar and stain it so that it looks like my fence. So
That'll be pretty.
aesthetically, I had already planned on doing that, and I just did not convey that to them, I guess, because I just presented what I was building and not what I was going to trim it back out with. But when I get through, so as is proposed now, it's going to have a red roof to match the brick, and it's going to be painted red right now to give me time to trim it out with the cedar, and I'm going to stain it so that it looks like all the square tubing on it looks like cedar posts going up, and it should aesthetically look like the fence that I have, because I have a really nice wooden fence around it, so I want it to match.
Well, I think cedar makes everything look better.
Yes,
so
ma'am,
that's just
I
me.
agree with you. I'm, a little rustic,
Yeah.
so.
How long is it gonna take you to get the cedar up when you build? Are you gonna do it as you're building it, or?
The trimming it?
Cedar?
No, sir, I'll have to, my contractor said he can build it in one day. So once he gets it built, then, now I do work 6 days a week, so I do have limited time to build it. But honestly, it shouldn't really take that long. I mean, I'm a handy guy, that's what kind of stuff I do for a living.
Maybe
so.
the price of cedar will come down for you.
Well, I actually I'm planning on using the rough cedar as you use the fence planks.
Yeah.
So they're kind of reasonable.
Yeah, they are.
I had to buy some to repair some fence, so it's already in the budget.
I have no concern with the thing. I looked at the picture, that's why I was asked if we could bring the picture up. Because when I originally, you've got white trim.
Yes, sir.
And
There it is.
there's his house. See how the thing comes down? And that's why he's got a flat roof for the thing. You've got a picture in here, right? And see, there's this white. So, here's the thing that scares me about red. If it's like candy apple red or something like that, boy, that's going to stick out.
No, it's more, I didn't save the picture the contractor sent me. It's going to be a darker red than my brick, because you're real limited on when you're buying the metal from the places that you buy. Their color selections are it's either a red, or it's a gray, or it's a white. And so they kind of wanted me to go the guys that I was up here with the last time, they definitely told me no white. So,
But you have white accents all around your house. The
well, that's,
rods, the
seeing,
top,
that's
the top
what I
of the
was kind of
windows.
asking the gentleman too. I'm like, well, who makes that determination? You're telling me I can't go white, it don't go with the house, but you look at the house, I'm like, well, now should I change my garage door color too? Because if I can't have white, then.
Is that your
I think the
gutter,
white-
is that your gutter that's going across, that's a metal color?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And it's white.
And it's white,
Yes.
so, I mean,
I think the white would match better than the red personally.
I do too. Yeah. And if you're gonna put cedar on it, the cedar would somewhat yeah, I mean, if you did stain it too dark.
Well, no, and it's actually you can see a little portion of my fence. It's actually a pecan stain color on the cedar.
Gone.
So, yeah, and that's what the intentions were, but they seem like they did not like white, so. And me
don't see why.
personally, I went with the only selection of red that the option gives me. And
And it's
I
a
don't think
red.
it's gonna look as good because it's gonna be so much darker than my brick.
It's kinda like a barn red, isn't it?
Yes,
What
ma'am.
metal is, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not gonna match your brick.
Yes.
I imagine a big Red Ryder wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It
it's a
is-
deeper red than that.
Well, it's
in
more of
reality.
a reddish maroon.
Yeah, it's a
type.
deep red, it's,
Yeah.
Well, I think the mayor would want that.
No, but, and that's kind of what I asked them. I said, well, you know, you say it don't look right. I said, but the vision of what is pretty to you might
Yes.
not be as pretty to everybody. I might put that up and everybody come out and go, why in the heck did you put red up there? Why didn't you go with white, right?
Can I ask you one question? How tall is the car shed gonna be between
It's
there?
going to be 9 foot tall.
So where's that gonna come on, is it right below your trim? I'm
Yes,
trying to
ma'am.
think.
It's going to be right below the trim.
Right below the trim.
Yes, ma'am. I
So see,
believe
it
the
would blend
door is
in
like
if it
8
was
foot.
white.
I drove by yesterday and to me, white would be just fine.
Yeah.
I think the red's gonna be more of a,
Eyesore.
it's gonna draw attention where the
Yes.
white won't.
Even around your windows is white. I don't,
That's what I was getting at. I was trying to tell him, he was looking at the house and going, and I'm like, apparently you're not seeing the same as me. 'Cause my blinds are open there. When I shut my blinds, they're all white.
yeah. Well, there you go. Well,
So, Brandon, we can make a motion to clarify some of this, correct?
Yes.
That's what we should do? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Not that I won't ask for a motion, I just want a clarification from Brent. All right. Any other questions for this gentleman?
no.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, so it is a public hearing. And Marie, anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay, so it is a public hearing, so anyone in the audience can speak on this item right now. You don't have to fill out a form, you can come to the microphone and speak if you would like so choose. If not, then at 7:27, I take us out of a public hearing and I will entertain a motion.
Mayor,
Oh, everybody go at once.
geez, we're all in a hurry here. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve item 4A, the request for the SUP for the carport, and he can do it in white.
I second.
Is that good? Is that clear? Okay.
I second.
Valerie, second? Okay.
Is that good?
Put pretty cedar on it and you got it made.
Please cast your votes. Motion passes. Good luck, sir. There you go. All right, moving on. 5A, business. Consideration action regarding a bid award for covered parking for police department vehicles. Chief Russell Ragsdale.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Now, what you have here in front of you is the bid that was actually, hasn't been awarded, but was turned in for the covered parking there at PD during the current fiscal year budgeting process. We requested $125,000 to do 27 covered spaces there in the PD parking lot. Now, this is specifically for city-owned vehicles, not for private-owned vehicles. Every spot is dedicated to an actual law enforcement vehicle owned by the city. We got that bid in. Only one bidder actually turned in a bid that met all the requirements, and that bid was actually for $165,000. You may have a bid in your packet that showed $155,000. That did not have gutters on it, and there is parts of these coverings that do have to have gutters to keep from pushing water onto our neighbors along the apartment complex. The additional increase was for those gutters. These carports are 26 gauge, R panel type sheets. C. Perlin is your structural members along with I-beam construction. I think the quote on it calls for it to be 7 to 8 foot in the ground. It's cantilever design. We went with that design to keep from having posts in the parking area that cars bang into and doors bounce off of. So everything is behind the parking space, outside of reach of the vehicles. So should be able to reduce any kind of damage to vehicles based off people not seeing a post. And absent that, I'll take any questions you might have.
So what does a police car run us? What total built out, what is one? 100,000?
It's shy of that, but it's getting close to 90,000 with full build-out.
Okay. Which makes sense if we want to protect those vehicles and get
And
as
each
much
one-
use out of them as possible.
Each one of them carports are gonna cost $5,740.
That's because of the cantilever design also.
That's the what?
Because of the design, the cantilever
yeah.
design, so it doesn't have a
Yeah.
post out front. All the supporting structures at the rear of the space, that drives the price up just a little bit, but it's pretty important not to have posts where, there's too many blind spots on a police car, so when you're trying to back one up, it's real easy to not see a 3-inch post that you bang off of, so we're really trying to protect the vehicles, not cause further damage to them.
Questions for Chief? Yeah, Cindy?
What's the start and completion schedule for this project, if it's approved tonight?
Do not have a start date for that. They didn't turn that in with their bid. It is a single duration, so once they show up, there's no breaks or anything else. So once they show up, it'll be done pretty quick. Being involved in the construction trade, I would imagine you're looking at around 10 to 14 days, but I don't know that for sure. I've not seen that in their documents.
Depending
That
on
would
the
be my
weather, I give it
estimation,
about
is
3
probably around
weeks.
14 days, 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Other questions for Chief?
We gonna paint them bright red?
Are they gonna match
The colors will
PD?
be conducive to the police department that you have there. Probably more of the gunmetal grays. like
Match
you
the
see.
cars.
All right. Any other questions for Chief Ragsdale? I'll entertain a motion then.
Mayor, I move that we approve the police carports as written.
Second? Paul, second? Please cast your votes. Motion passes. Thank you, Chief. All right, so pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel matters, and Texas 7, deliberation regarding economic development. And it is
Mayor, make a motion, we adjourn.
Brack, Cindy?
Boom.
Motion passes. At 8:32, we're adjourned. Thank you all.